Yes, Drink with Daniel says he's having his own ruler tattoo made for their birthday in August, and they're making their own design in AutoCAD. Do I have any pointers for them? Is there anything I wished I'd known before getting my tattoo? And my tattoo is inches and centimeters, as most of you know. Yes, there is a thing I wished I'd thought of. And I thought I had thought of everything regarding this tattoo. And then someone said to me, well, did you place it in orientation of your fingertip so you would know what the full measurement is? And I didn't. I feel so stupid. That suggestion came up about a week after I'd gotten the tattoo, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I looked it up, and I believe if I remember correctly, it's 10.5 inches from here to here, which is at least somewhat of a number with a boundary on it. But yeah, if I had to do this again, I would have placed this a whole integer of inches from my middle fingertip so that I would know this entire measurement. And as it is, it's 16.5 inches from here to here, but that's not as neat and tidy as I would have liked it to be. So go ahead. Don't be like me. Choose this distance. And frankly, if you were really going to choose that distance, well, a foot is a little too long. I mean, it would carry you all the way over to here on my arm. And that doesn't work for me. So I might go 1/2 inch in this dimension and just have it be 10 inches. Your arms may be different. Joshua Schisser says that they have an opportunity with a model shop in SF. Oh, I wonder if I know who it is. But they need to put my amateur and informal experience as a maker into a portfolio or resume. Any advice about how to frame amateur experience into a professional resume? Yes, it does not matter that it's amateur experience. It does not matter. Don't worry about separating it. Don't worry about separating it between amateur and professional. Because it's a useless delineation for okay, it's not a useless determination. Okay, so if you have professional experience and I'm interviewing you and I know that you've worked on, let's say, a television show in some capacity, because I know you worked in that position, I know a lot about what you went through, right, from my experience. So professional experience is good in that regard. But you are bringing a portfolio to this meeting. So it's not just about the work experience. It's about, there's some aesthetic stuff going on. And when you are showing aesthetic stuff in an interview, specifically within our business of my business of making things and replicating them, my advice, and I've given this on the channel a few times before, it always bears repeating. Go ahead and put in some of your fanciful excursions in your portfolio. Put your favorite sculpture in there. But you show me your favorite sculpture that you ever built, and that tells me about your aesthetics, but it tells me nothing about your skills. I have no idea how long it took you to make that. I have no idea what you started to make and what you ended up with. So I don't know how useful you will be to me as a supervisor. But if you show me this pen, but 5 times the size, well, then I know exactly what you can do, because that's much more the kind of stuff we're going to be doing here. Again, I'm assuming you're interviewing for a model shop. They're going to be asking about your maker skill in making specific things. So you want your portfolio as best as you can to reflect things that the person interviewing you should know what they look like. This is a piece of advice that I got from an Industrial Light and Magic CG supervisor. They said, bring me your fanciful stuff, but show me that you can make a Cadillac in CAD, and that's how I know I can hire you. So that's my advice. Lean into that stuff. Tim Walter asks, I see guitars and other instruments from time to time on the channel, but you seldom play any instruments or talk about your own playing. Where does music playing live within your life? Music is really important to me. I listen to a lot of it. Within a very specific bandwidth. And I sing a lot. I sing in the car, I sing in the shower, I sing here in the cave. When I'm working and I'm listening, I love to belt out. I like sing along with the songs. But And I strum the guitar. I play a little bit of the guitar, and I play a little bit of the ukulele. I took lessons in playing saxophone 25, actually now 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. I've always had a little bit of a space in my heart for playing music, but it's never been something I feel the need to subject anyone to in a public forum. I have a beautiful little Larrivee parlor guitar that lives in my office at home, and I pick it up every couple of weeks, and I maybe learn some new tabs or play a little song and sing along with it. I play some Milk Carton Kids. I play a little Jack White, just to soothe myself. And I learned, John Roderick wrote an amazing song called The Commander Thinks Aloud, and I learned that song to play it at Woodstock in San Diego a few years ago. And the experience of playing is one thing. The experience of singing is another. The experience of playing and singing together is a whole nother thing. And I really learned that song so I could play it on the piano and sing it. And wow, that feels so substantively different. It feels really, really, really good. I also got the experience of playing a song so many times. My partner never wants to hear that song again as long as they live for the rest of their lives. All my musician friends were like, oh yeah, that totally happens. So music is like, it's important, but again, it's a very small sort of private space. One more question. Okay. Green Destiny, the graphics, distance to fingertips. Yeah, Strawn based. Yeah. So somebody said, did you've worked on a lot of miniature models, but have you ever been involved in full scale props or set building? Yes. When I was working in theater, I built a lot of full scale sets. The biggest set I built was for a production in 1992 called La Nona, right around the corner here on 16th Street and Harrison, what used to be the Eureka Theater Company. I was their master carpenter for a season, and I built their set for La Nona, which is a very elaborate set. La Nona is about this toxic grandmother that eats this entire family alive. That's not an exaggeration of the plot. It's really wonderful. And the set is very Mediterranean with all these arched doorways. I remember having to buy like 120 sheets of plywood, 120 sheets of like 1/2-inch 4x8 foot plywood sheets. And when you're buying that many sheets as a master carpenter, you're actually getting bids from lumberyards, right? So because I had a budget and I had to hold to it, I went with the cheapest bid on that plywood because everything was getting covered with a stucco texture. It didn't matter what it looked like, or so I thought. But when I went for the cheapest bid, the plywood that I received was not square. And I don't mean like slightly out of square. I mean like the measurement between the diagonals was about 3/4 of an inch off. Yeah, like freaking shockingly out of scale. And I didn't realize the plywood was out of square until I had to line up a bunch of pieces for this monolithic wall, and it wasn't lining up. And I was like, what is going on? And then I measured the diagonals, and this cheap ply I bought was freaking out of square. I've had plenty of 4x8 sheets that were not exactly 48 by 96 inches. That is an occupational hazard of buying plywood. But out of square, that was a first and a last. I never went for the lowest bid on lumber again. And one more story about it. Working as the master carpenter for La Nona involved me making the biggest mistake of my theater career, which is while I was working on La Nona, it was a big set, so I was working weekends as well. And on the weekends, I could hear the show that was currently playing at the Eureka Theater because they were doing these 2 long days on Saturday and Sunday, and I could hear the show playing while I was working, and I could hear the audience laughing hysterically. The show was a barn burner of a show. Yeah, the reader, the show was the very first North American production of Tony Kushner's Angels in America, and it premiered at the Eureka Theater Company, and I was working there at the time, and I never went and saw it. What a dick. What a dummy. I mean, it is the great missed opportunity of my life. It came back to San Francisco. I played at ACT, went on Broadway, of course. It became an HBO movie, and it's an amazing, amazing thing in every excursion it's been in. And yet I somehow managed to miss its inaugural journey to the stage. And I'm still sad about that. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a Tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.